My name is David Figs, and in today's video, we're going to be talking about my 2006 911S and what it's been like to drive the past 4 months and 1,000 miles. It's going to be a lot of fun. Stay tuned. So this is my first ever Porsche 911, and I've always wanted one since I was a little kid. Specifically, oh, you can't beat that flat six. Unbelievable. Specifically, the 993 GT2, which, if you don't know what that car is, they didn't make very many, and they're well over $1 million now. A car I will never own. So, when it came time to find another 6-speed sports car that I could drive to the office, I can take them on these mountain roads, and I can take it to the track. This car was at the top of my list. I ended up buying it in February in Nashville, Tennessee. I had it shipped over to Denver. Since then, it's been about 4 months of owning it. I have just about put 1,300 miles on it. And boy, have a lot of those 1,300 miles been a lot of fun. So I want to talk about what this car is like driving it in the mountains, right? Zigzaggy road, nice smooth road, beautiful weather, and what it's like daily driving. I take this car into my office in downtown Denver once, twice a week. Recently sold my wife's car, so now we're down to 2 cars. We're looking for a car for her, but in the meantime, she's been driving the Raptor, and she's been driving this car. So, my initial impressions after the first 1,000 miles on this car is unbelievable. I mean, I have never driven a car that's rear engine, 911 being one of the only ones. And the weight you can feel when you're driving in the rear, obviously. It is such a unique feeling when you are taking turns, but there's so much grip in the front. It doesn't feel like you're losing a ton of grip in the front. Now, mind you, know, I'm driving very cautiously. This isn't a closed road by any means, and I want to be respectful of everybody around, including myself. I'm assuming once I get this out on the track, that will sort of show the skeletons, if you will, of having that rear engine, or the engine rear mounted in the rear. But like I said, in these roads, you just don't feel it. It feels so well planted. It feels so smooth. I mean, keep in mind, this is a 2006 with 84,500 miles. This isn't a brand new car by any means. This isn't a one-owner car by any means. This car has been used for what it was made for, and I want to continue doing that. Found ourselves some open road. Let's give it a go here. Red line. red line. Woo! This car, and it's not the fastest by any means. I think this is like 4.5 seconds, if not higher, 0 to 60. But man, the engine, the sound, the grip, the mechanical shifter. I haven't driven a new one. I hope to one day I will be able to. But this shifter, this 6-speed, you look at all the videos, right? You look at people that, do this for a living, have a ton of videos, review a ton of cars, all the newest cars, hypercars, supercars, and then you look at those guys and they drive a 997 generation 911. They all say the same thing. How awesome it is. This transmission, the shifter, the feel, how mechanical it is. The hydraulic steering where I can feel the road. All the inputs, I feel it. I'm putting in the work. It's unbelievable. It is such a fun car to drive. Easily one of the funnest cars I've ever driven in my life. And it feels the same day in, day out, right? Especially with the age, the miles. It hasn't feeling like it's slowed down at all. Now, having said that, if you've seen my previous video, you'll know how much I've paid for this car. It wasn't the cheapest. It wasn't the most expensive. It took me a very long time to find. And with that, my God. And with that, there's obviously some items that need to be replaced in this car. The two most important items that I identified in the PPI that need to be changed on this car is the suspension. It's the original 85,000 mile 2006 suspension that came with this car new. And the brakes. Now the brakes from a couple shops have mentioned, this bit of road is fun. A couple of shops have mentioned I may have 1 or 2 track days left until I have to replace the rotors and brakes and brake pads, obviously. Now the suspension, they've advised, and I'm not willing to do it, is to drive this car on the track with the suspension setup that's on it. It's too old, it's a little rusty, it's worn out. Now, I don't feel it, right? I don't feel like the suspension is worn, but I also don't know what a new suspension on this car feels like. So it's hard for me to relate, but it feels planted, it feels good. It feels nice to drive. Even when I put in the stability control, or the, what is it, the PASM, the Porsche Stability Management System, I believe it's what it is. It stiffens up the suspension, and I feel that immediately. It feels like you're driving on coilovers from what I've experienced in the past, which on this road is very smooth. And I'm sure you can tell in the camera, I'm not bouncing around, I'm not flying around the cabin, I am planted. So it feels good. Now, I do want to track this car a couple times a year, and that was my plan this year. That may still happen, but unfortunately, I ordered new coilovers, I believe the first week of March. And as everybody knows, there's massive delays, logistic delays, manufacturing delays everywhere in the world right now. And as of now, I won't get those coilovers until the end of July. The earliest I get it is the end of July. So I may have the opportunity to track it in August, maybe September, depending on the weather and what events are available. But tracking it may have to wait till next year. And I'll just be able to have to enjoy these mountain roads when I can get out, spend a little time up here. This car is awesome. I love driving it. It's such a beautiful day. Such a beautiful day. If you've never driven this car, and when I say this car, 911, but specifically the 997 due to this transmission and the hydraulic steering, you gotta go find one. You gotta go find a buddy. You gotta go to a car show. You gotta rent one. You gotta get behind the wheel of one of these things. It is unbelievable, and it is so much fun to drive. This is truly a driver's car. Funny I say that. I think I saw a video the other day of Ben Collins, who's the original Stig on Top Gear, BBC Top Gear. His daily driver, 997. Now it's a turbo, but it's a 997. So let's get back down the mountain. And I want to give you guys a little feedback on what it's like driving on the highway, regular roads where, you know, you don't have as much freedom here. It's not as smooth. And you're just cruising in 6th gear most of the time, right? So now I'm out away from the mountains. I'm driving back home on just on a regular road. And I kept the PASM on, the suspension, the active dampers. It is unbearable. I'm gonna start driving here and you're gonna see, just with normal wear and tear roads, you know, they're not the smoothest in the world, how much more jerky. You can probably even hear the suspension too. I mean, I don't know if you can see it picking it up. I'm sure you can. The camera's shaking like crazy. It's just unbearable. As soon as I take it off, you know, you still have bumps in the road, you still feel it, but it's much more manageable. Much more manageable. Now from a daily driver perspective, and again, this car isn't a daily for me. The truck is more than anything. But I do take this into work once or twice a week. And I actually, the comparison's difficult because I have one of the biggest vehicles money can buy, being a Raptor, right? How wide it is, very impractical to drive downtown. It's tough. But driving this, being so small, so nimble, it's much easier for me personally. Again, what I'm comparing it to is a Raptor. The other side of it is I don't know how this reads MPGs, meaning is it the life of the car? Is it the past 1,000 miles, 100 miles, last tank, whatever it is. Right now it says I'm averaging 18.8. I think I've seen it as low as the low 18s, and I've seen it as high as 20 MPGs. So given that prices are, at least here in Colorado, well over $5, and I'm sure our friends in California are $6 or $7. It's not bad. Not bad at all. But everything else, I'm driving on the highway now. It's very quiet, right? There's no rattling, a little bit of creaks here and there. You don't hear the road noise very much. It's a very livable car. It's very smooth to drive, right? It's not You know, I'm not bouncing around all over the place like you would with some other cars maybe. Now, when I put the coilovers on, that may change, but per my research, the ones that I chose are the most similar to the OEM. The other practicality of it is it has seats in the back. Now, if there's more than 2 adults that you need to drive in this car, it's the wrong car. Yes, there's seats in the back. No, I would probably not even put a teenager back there. It is crammed. I can fit 2 car seats just fine. My daughter sits back there and I go for drives with her all the time and she loves it. I mean, she can almost kick my elbow how close we are, which is so much fun, right? We love it. I love driving with her. She loves being in the car. With my wife and my daughter in the back, it's a little more snug than my wife would like, but it works. Daughter's fine back there. She's strapped up nice and tight, so it works. But if you have more than 2 adults, even teenagers, like I said, that you would need to put in the back seat of this car, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Cup holders are nice, easy access, right? Just hit some bumps there. Didn't feel that bad. Doesn't drive like a Cadillac, and it's not like my truck. But for being this car and what it can do and what it's capable of, it's pretty impressive in my opinion. And my assumption is the newer the generations, like the 991, the 992, this variant of the car may be even smoother, right, with modern technology. Now, the technology component of this car, right, it's from 2006. This has Bluetooth, but the Bluetooth is so old that it doesn't work with modern phones. That's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. I have turned on this radio maybe twice, and that was probably because my wife wanted the radio on. I don't even bother with it. It works. You can play music, all that stuff, perfectly fine. The heated seats work fine. AC is cold as ice. It's colder than my truck. Perfect. It's perfect. Navigation. So I did 2 PPIs. One was at a Porsche dealer, which I immediately regretted. And the only reason why I say that is because they go to comparison of up to stock. So one, the navigation doesn't work, and they said it's about $10,000 to replace. I could care less. Even if the navigation worked, I would never use this navigation. It's from 2006. So, don't really care. The other thing they said was that these vents, they're blowing out a little bit of foam. It's a 16-year-old car with almost 85,000 miles. There is, I guess, foam in the ventilation system that just over time deteriorates a little bit. Again, they said it was a couple $1,000 replace or fix. I could care less. So when you're shopping for these cars and you're looking around, keep that in mind. When you take it to a Porsche dealer to do the PPI, they need to be giving you that information, right? That's what you're paying for, but it's up to you to know and judge if that matters. Again, navigation, could care less. Foam coming out of the vents, could care less. It's an older car. What I care about more is the motor, the maintenance, the history, the owners. Those are the things that were important to me. All right, everybody. For everybody that is still watching, thank you. I got some really big news and exciting news. I am an official sponsor of Adams Polishes now. It's a really big deal to me. I've been using them for 6-7 years. Used them when I was living in California, Texas, now here in Denver. So I'm gonna be doing a giveaway with them here in the next couple weeks, so please keep a lookout for that. I'm gonna start dabbling more and more into detailing, ceramic coating, all that stuff. So pretty exciting times for the channel, and you know, I really couldn't have done this without you guys. So thank you very much. Stay tuned for more. Please like, comment, subscribe. Peace.